and for India as of now. So in terms of road network, India is, recently everyone knows is a world's second largest road network, and very soon it could be first one also. And we feel very proud that yes, we are no at the top. And we feel that by having these all, basically they have improved our road infrastructure, and that's why we feel proud about. Now, there is a little thing to be understood in this aspect is one is when you have largest road network, it means you have connected every single village. That is basically connectivity improvement through network expansion. And another thing is we already have roads, but let's say earlier it was 2 lane, now it is 4 lane, or earlier it was 4 lane, now it's 6 or 6 to 8. And basically it's kind of widening of same existing road. There is a difference. The widening is not actually connectivity. It improves the mobility, faster services and all that. But when we are connecting, let's recall the PMGSY. If we are talking about the Pradhan Mantri Gramin Sadak Yojana, that was the aim was to connect each and every village. So it is more focused on the basically provide some road so that it's get connected. Unconnected villages or habitats should not be there. And here, what we have added is after PMGSY, almost everything was connected, but then we kept focusing on mobility. Delhi to Agra, earlier it was 4 hours and now it's 2 hours. So we have improved, we have improved the infrastructure. In terms of, I will say, this improvement is in terms of a lane kilometer. Earlier it was, let's say, 4 lane, now it is 6 lane or 8 lane. So we have added lanes to existing road, and that's why the network increases in lane kilometer. And this is two different things. Now, if we say this is improvement, so how do we justify this? This is basically total CO2 emission, basically on Indian roads, only due to vehicular movement. These figures different sources are there. Some may say different value, little bit different from this, but the more important is the trend. It is increasing trend, and nobody can deny it. Sorry. So basically, vehicular pollution has kept being, on the increasing trend since 2005 or even before that. So now, on the one hand, we are happy that our road infrastructure is increasing, largest in the world, nearly. And on the other hand, what we are missing is this. We know it is improving in road infrastructure, but it is, increasing emission as well. Now let's look at these values. This is basically one person, how much does he or she, generate the CO2 emission just because of commuting from here to there. Now this is per person CO2 emission due to vehicular movement. In USA it is 15.52, Canada again some 18 plus, China 7, and India 1.9. That's nearly 2. Now what does it indicate? Actually it indicates per capita CO2 emission for Indian person is much less than what US, Canada and China has. As of now, we are quite, in terms of like per capita emission, we are quite sustainable. But only thing is, because of our population is very high, we generate the emission in terms of, gross emission, we are, in the first position. So what does it indicate is, as an individual, I am not emitting too much of vehicular pollution, but because population is very large, altogether India is emitting a lot. It indicates that as an individually, my lifestyle is quite okay. There is nothing much to be improved. If something has to be improved for an individual part, then it has to be someone from the US and someone from the Canada, or maybe China also. And why so? because everyone of you must be knowing, like either you might have traveled or your relatives or friends might have traveled to US or Canada and any other so-called developed countries. There, if you just have to buy a bread and butter, you need to have a car. Without car, you can't go anywhere. There is no public transport, there is no intermediate public transport. Most of the cities. So it's always known that US is a car dependent country. If you can't drive, I mean, many of our parents or elderly people, whenever they have visited these countries, they get bored very soon in few days because they can't move out by their own. They are dependent. Most of our, like, our previous generation are mostly not the drivers, and that's why they are not good at driving, or they don't know at all, and that's why when they go to US, Canada, they feel bored because their movement is restricted. However, in India, in every single city, whoever has elderly person at home and who can't drive, they are still able to walk. They are still able to go out and catch a auto or rickshaw on any other bus also, and they can move. They can go wherever they want to. And the walkable distance, we have most of the services available. I'm sure wherever we belong to, each one of us, in whichever city, at a walkable distance, you have shops there where basic things are available. I mean, any kind of dairy is there. Some grocery store is there. All basic things which you need almost to daily life. It is available at your walking distance. You need not to take out your car. Now, that is another thing, that even for 1 kilometer we take out our cars. It is a separate thing, but it is available at walkable distance. And that's why, in terms of individuals' lifestyle, ours in India, ours is much better in terms of pollution. It can be chaos, it can be not so clean, but we are not generating pollution. So I always say, with respect to transportation, I mean, nowadays many US based universities are studying the Indian way of living. Why? Because we are per person, we are generating less, and we call it, as a transport planning, we call it a mixed land use. In some limited area, you have everything. You have school nearby, you have grocery shops nearby, you have some medical store nearby. It's not like a zoning. Zone A belongs to residential, zone B belongs to education, zone C belongs to something else. So everyone has to travel longer. So, which is the pattern followed by US. So, first thing we need to understand, it's not necessary that we need to follow for everything to US and Canada. So, now as an individual, we are good. We are not polluting that much. So, where are we going wrong then? In terms of road infrastructure, since we feel proud of, what do we do, or how do we move? I mean, progress, or what do we call as a progress or improvement in terms of infrastructure? Let's assume there is a 2-lane road and 5 cars are there, and each car must be polluting something, let's say P. So the total pollution will be 5P. Now, this is manageable traffic, so it moves on certain speed, and that is okay. When more traffic is being added, more cars are being added, and why? Because this is so-called normal economic growth. Salaries are increasing, people are growing in terms of financial status, and they keep buying the cars. So more cars would be there. So the pollution would be 10 multiplied by pollution. Now further more cars have been added. So now we have 15 multiplied by pollution. Oh, sorry. So now 15 multiplied by pollution. Now only thing is, when your traffic increases, the number of vehicles moving on same space increases, definitely your speed is going to be less. So it's kind of a traffic congestion situation or idling situation, which actually generates more pollution. At a very lower speed, if your car is moving, crawling, or 5 to 10 kilometers per hour, you are actually generating more pollution. So the pollution will be more. So what do we do? At this particular situation, pollution is also more, and traffic congestion as an individual person, that is also more, and that is like more visible rather. So most commonly, what do we do? We expand roads. I mean, expand the road width. So now let's assume we converted this 2-lane road to 3-lane road, and same number of cars are moving. So the pollution is again little bit better. Why? Because you could manage somewhat better speed. So now with 15 cars and 15 multiplied by P, let's say the pollution. Now what happens? Now you have managed the increased demand, but if you just look at the number of cars as well as the pollution, you actually increase the pollution. Gross pollution is even much more higher. At the very beginning, it was 5p, and now it's moving towards 10p and then 15p. In between, it could be even more than 15p, but then 15p. Again, after a couple of years or some time, more cars will come up and more, again the traffic jam. So again P plus P dash will be there, and again we will keep adding new lanes. And once you add new lanes, more car will come. And why this is common? Because whenever you have, if you are driving car and you see there is a congestion, you will still look for some other option. But if you see now it is smooth, अरे flyover बन गया, now even faster. So again, more cars will start, more people will start using car on those routes. So it is like a vicious circle. You keep adding lanes and you keep, kind of inviting more and more cars. Again, because it's a more cars, so you have to add more space. So this is what the quote I like from Lewis Mumford. Adding highway lanes to deal with traffic congestion is like loosening your belt to deal with obesity. This is a vicious circle. And the solution is public transportation. Let's take another example of intersection. Previous one was for mid-block or any what we commonly say is a road, and this is intersection. Let's consider any four-arm intersection, any city, just hypothetical. You have some vehicles moving here and there, so that is fine. When the traffic is quite less, that is okay to be managed. They will look when they have to cross, they will just look right and left and then keep moving ahead, and safely they will cross. Once traffic a little bit increases, then it becomes a bit risky, and therefore we need to have a signalized intersection so that safely they can move here and there. At the same time, it increases the speed, increases the time required to cross the road. Let's still keep moving. After a couple of years, again the traffic will move, more and more congestion will be there, and then we propose one flyover, sometimes two flyovers, right angle two flyovers, sometimes one, depending on in which direction we have more traffic. So now if you have flyover, so immediately it's an immediate relief. You might have observed wherever in your area, if newly constructed flyover gets open, of course, while construction time itself it create chaos, but once it is open, it is a big relief. So we all feel good. But on the same flyover, if you have noticed any flyover for a few years, on the same flyover after a couple of years, you will see more traffic. So now flyover itself is a congested one. So, and have we solved the problem, or we have just shifted the problem? Shifted sometimes by a couple of years, and sometimes we shift it by location. Wherever we have built a flyover at both the end side of the flyover, both the ends, you always feel you always feel some congestion. You have driven well, you are okay for flyover. As soon as you come down from this flyover, you feel it's a congested, it's a kind of bottleneck. So it's basically you have the planner or designer have shifted the problem. Earlier it was an intersection, now it's maybe 150, 200 meters away from that intersection. So Basically, by adding these space, again, we have not resolved the problem, but we have just shifted the problem. And let's understand how much obese we are. So there was one study. In this, what we did, we have some partners in this: IORA, CRRI, IIP Dehradun, and TERI. 18 national highway corridors were given to us. For all these 18, we had to estimate how much pollution it has or how much pollution it creates. And this includes the CO2 emission due to construction at the very beginning, due to construction process, then even the equipment used and the kind of material used. And then once the road is being built, usually we consider 20 years time as a road life. The life of the roads is 20 years. So every year, how much traffic is there? And as I said, depending on the traffic, level of traffic, the speed of these vehicles will keep changing. And as the speed of these vehicles keep changing, we can estimate the how much it is generating the CO2 emission. I mean, we use IRC guidelines for that. Someone else some other guidelines also there. So speed-based emission factors can be used to calculate this. And that's what we did. So this is there. And for these 18, as I was mentioning, we covered everything. Right from the construction and maintenance, and then even the trees were cut at the beginning, and the highway operation and all these. So considering everything, how much CO2 have been generated, and accordingly NHAI has to decide how many trees are to be planted so that the net impact becomes zero. I mean, that's the target, right? Net zero. So this is what the project was all about. And I mean, within this, we had 5 greenfield stretches. It means altogether new area where totally new roads are to be constructed. And there were some sections where it's a brownfield stretches. That means already roads are there, maybe 2 lane, 4 lane, and then more of lanes are being added. So all these 5 plus these altogether 23 corridors were studied. Now, I mean, of course, these stretches were spreading all over the climate zone and differently topography because this is what NHAI wanted us to cover. And we covered more than 2000 kilometers in that. Now, only thing is, this is, I think it's a process, normal process. You have to calculate the emission at every stage so that for making it net zero, you can know what remedial measures are to be planned. So construction and maintenance and this NH operations. It's the traffic operations on NH. Now this is an interesting part because when you have to calculate on one particular road how much traffic will be there in its first year of opening, second year of opening, third, fourth, and so on up to 20th year. So one is because population is increasing, we assume that the more and more cars will be there. And that's how whatever the speed are to be there, it can be calculated based on highway capacity manuals, or in case there are traffic engineers here, they can understand basically for any particular road you need to know capacity, and then you need to know traffic and therefore the level of service, so that you can calculate that each and every car is moving at what speed, and if they are moving at particular speed you can calculate the CO2 emission generated from that. Okay, I'm not going to in values, absolute value, what has been we estimated for these 18 corridors, because we wanted to discuss more about the method itself. So it can be different from different locations. So important thing what we understood is it is very, very important that accurate estimation of traffic growth is there. And of course, we need to have good information related to construction material and road maintenance strategies adopted by the agencies, and what kind of vehicle technologies are there within our traffic. Now, most importantly, I will discuss once again about this accurate estimation of traffic growth. Usually, what do we do? We take help from the DPRs. Okay, DPR mentions 10% of growth has to be there or 5% growth has to be there in one particular area and one particular corridor. Now, that is based on population growth. Population, since because population is growing, we have to grow in terms of number of cars. This is a commonly taken adopted approach. The only thing is, are we wanting this or are we observing this? If we are observing this, that is true, it is happening. But if we are not wanting this, we need to change it. Then we need to understand how do we change in terms of growth also. Because one is a population growth and another is something called induced traffic. Induced traffic is means, let's say, for example, if you are traveling from your home to office today and by car, or and some people are using, let's say, for by bus for the same A and B, origin and destination. Today it's taking you, let's say, 30 minutes, and other person is going on bus because it's, I mean, let's say 40 minutes. Now, for example, that road has been improved. Now you can reach there within 15 minutes. Now you will come back during your lunchtime also to have lunch at home, because now it's become easier. So you have added new trip to it. It happens. Earlier, Bombay to Pune were, let's say, X hours, and now X by 2 hours. So more trips would be added. This is called induced traffic. It was not, it is being generated because you improved the service. So if you want to improve this, that is fine. But if we want to improve this, that every person should reach by car or by bus, that is a major concern. I'm happy that now people are, able to travel Bombay, Pune more frequently. But I want them to travel by bus and not by car. In that case, I should focus more on reducing travel time by bus and less on travel time on car. Otherwise, every single person sitting in a bus really want to have a car. They are there in the bus most of the time only because they can't afford it. They can't afford to have a car or to move a car. So now I assume that what I wanted to convey is, by building infrastructure, sometimes we are inviting more cars and more cars, and sometimes number of cars are same, but the number of trips are more. And therefore, ultimately, we are ourselves creating more, pollution. Now, what we do or what we have done till now is we have kept expanding our space. The kind of space we have given for roads is much more than earlier, and that's at the end result is more cars we have on our roads. As of now, if I can share Delhi data more. In Delhi, 30% space of Delhi whole city is basically used for roads and parking. It's a huge. If we are keep increasing, actually we will be nowhere. I think I will have a couple of slides on that. Yeah. So this is the traffic in Delhi. I mean, this is a very common picture. It can be any city, any metro city, any other or urban area. Basically, it conveys, we have a lot of traffic here and there, everywhere. And we always say we don't have enough space, and that's why this is the traffic congestion. And congestion means automatically the pollution. And we always say this is the main reason we are having this much pollution, because we have less space. In Western countries, they have created huge space. Wherever they found some congestion, they added space. All these flyovers, all these fancy looking like structures are basically additional space. They just added more and more space to road network, sometimes horizontally and sometimes vertically. But still, they have problem of traffic congestion. Sometimes in India, we believe that we are having all these problems of even traffic congestion because we don't have lane discipline in India. We have all sort of vehicles, bus, car, minibus, auto, and because of this, we are unable to follow the lane, and that's why we have congestion. In Western countries, they have very nicely managed behavior, whatever we call it, a lane discipline traffic. But still there is a traffic jam. The previous picture compared to previous picture of Indian situation, this may look more organized, but yes, it is traffic jam. It is organized, looking maybe better than previous one, but traffic jam. You are stuck in traffic jam. I think most of you might have heard there was a traffic jam, 9 days long traffic jam in China, where people could not move for 9 full days. Sometimes we feel that in India we don't have parking sense. We do park our cars here and there, anywhere around metro station, around bus stop, around market area, anywhere. And that is the issue. Yes, it is an issue. But whoever could resolve it, they have resolved by adding more space. This picture is not that clear, but actually this each and every single cell is a car. And in Western country, they have created huge space for car parking. Sometimes horizontally, sometimes vertically. This is a very known, famous Chicago's Concord Tower. In this, if you can see the lower part, a bit more wide circle, all these lower part is parking, and upper part is basically office buildings or even residential. So sometimes horizontally, sometimes vertically, they have added huge parkings, but still the problem is same, and end up in where we started, the huge number of per capita pollution. And therefore, every transport planner knows that what is correct, but only thing is we are not having it in our on ground. We all know that walking is best, cycling is okay. I mean, next comes the cycling, then bus or the metro and the two-wheeler and the car in terms of pollution. Lowest pollution, I mean, actually no pollution by pedestrian, then cycle, per capita pollution, and highest pollution due to per capita pollution due to car. Now we all know that, we do all accept it, and we all appreciate the fact that we need to move towards sustainable solution, and that is public transportation and non-motorized transport. Even after knowing it, are we really moving in a sustainable transport? Because we in theory, or we in even the implementing agency, we keep saying that our priority is pedestrian and lowest priority on car. NUTP, National Urban Transport Policy. It has clearly mentioned that people are more important than, movement of people is more important than the movement of vehicle. Good. Finally, it came on writing. But still, it has come on paper and not on ground. Why? Because when we say sustainable transport, what have we spent for those sustainable modes? In terms of budget, in terms of space, and in terms of pollution, where are we moving? In terms of budget, okay, I don't have those slides here, but in terms of budget, let's say example for Delhi government, maximum budget has been spent on road projects. And it's good to have road projects, but what kind of road projects? Again, we are only in terms of when we say a budget for road infrastructure, basically this budget we are using for creating more and more flyovers and more wide roads. So we have not prioritized walking, cycling or anything here, Because one flyover means what? Basically, we are giving more priority to motorized vehicles. Cars are moving on flyover, uh, two-wheelers are moving, but not pedestrian and cyclists. They don't feel good, obviously, for the obvious reason. They are not moving on flyover. They would like to move at grade, at ground level. So by creating this infrastructure, we are not helping the sustainable modes. We are not prioritizing them. In fact, it's a troublesome for them. Whenever a flyover is being constructed, it creates more conflicts for a pedestrian and cyclist. Let's say for space, in terms of our space, any just consider any road, the width of road. How much space have you provided for walking or cycling or even for the bus? We always design our roads so that cars should be able to move ekdam smoothly, without, signal-free corridors, elevated highways. All these are basically what are they doing is prioritizing or giving higher priority to motorized vehicle, motorized, and even within motorized, we have basically bikes and cars. So neither in budget, neither in space, we have given priority to the modes we consider prioritize: walking, cycling, and bus. And the end result can be checked through the pollution. I think being in Delhi, I think everyone might have seen in always in this November, December month in news that how much pollution is there. There can be many other reasons, but at the same time, vehicular pollution is the major reason. It is the contributing more than 60% of the pollution. So if our budget and space are not in correct direction, it is the end result is pollution. And that's why if we are not able to bring down vehicular pollution, we need to recheck, or we need to revert rather the way we are adding space and the way we are utilizing our budget. So basically, instead of sustainable transport, we are maybe moving in the wrong direction. Let's see how now this can be improved. Now, suddenly, even if let's say all we understood now, okay, we realize that walking and cycling is important, bus or any public transportation is important. Can we implement it tomorrow? Actually, no. Tomorrow, in a whole city, you can't make everyone to travel by walking, cycling, and public transportation, because already cars are there now. So banning car is one enforcement issue, but it should be adopted only when you have better, much more and better, stronger and easier infrastructure for public transportation, which is not. And that's why we need to move in the correct direction, but gradually. Now suddenly U-turn don't work. It is very good solution, but practically it is not possible to remove all cars immediately. So the gradual change approach has to be adopted. And in this gradual, I will give few examples how this gradual change can be achieved. By any chance, any query or anything anyone want to say, just unmute in between wherever you want.